Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. In this video today I'll be showing you how to operate this portable mini sewing machine. Now if you have a mini sewing machine that looks a little something like this one, then I'll link to that in the description box down below because this one is threaded up completely differently. Okay. So before we get started, this machine comes in various different colours and it goes by a couple of different brands as well. This one here you'll find on places like Amazon and eBay, and it goes by the model number of FHSM 505. It has other big brand names like NEX or KPCB, I think, and other ones like that. In Australia you'll find it in Spotlight and it goes by the name of Sew and Make, and I'll just flash up a couple of different versions up here for you. Alright, this particular one I got off eBay or Amazon, can't remember which one, but I'm going to show you how we thread it up. Before I show you how to thread the machine up, I'm going to plug it into the power supply and get the foot pedal ready as well. So if I just turn the machine around, you see that there's a spot here for the power. So I'm just going to plug that DC plug in, and then there's a spot right next to it for the foot pedal. Now this machine can actually be used without the power pack and you can use batteries, and I'll show you that later on in the video. And you can also use the machine without the foot pedal if you want by operating it with this off switch. So at the moment it's in the off position. When the power is on, when you turn it to low or high, it'll actually start sewing. Okay, so I'll get the power plugged in and I'll put my foot pedal on the floor. Okay, so first of all I'm going to show you how to put thread onto the bobbin. Now your machine will probably come with bobbins with thread on it and some spools of thread as well. I highly recommend you don't use this thread because it's very cheap thread and you'll probably have problems with it when you're sewing. So I recommend something like a Gutermann Sewall thread like this, relatively inexpensive but a lot stronger and will give you better results. Okay, now I'm going to be putting black onto my bobbin. So at the top of your machine here, you'll have a spool pin with a cap. I'm just going to remove that cap, and you'll have a bobbin spindle as well. So I'm going to place my spool of thread onto that spool there, spool pin. And the next thing you'll need to do is put your thread around the first thread guide here. Okay, so you can put it under that little notch there, oops, and then around and under that loose piece of plastic there on that thread guide. Okay, that'll help provide some tension when you're winding your bobbin. Okay, the next thing to do is to grab your thread tail and on your bobbin, thread the thread tail through one of the holes on your bobbin from the inside and towards the top like that. Okay, so I'm going to pull that thread and hold it in one hand, whoops, and then I'm going to push the bobbin onto the bobbin spindle there, and then I'm going to push the spindle over to the right like this. So now what will happen is the bobbin spindle will start spinning when I put my foot down on the foot pedal. Okay, now I'm just going to let that spin a few times. Okay, once it's done that, I'm just going to snip that thread tail off, and now I can put some more thread on there without having to hold it. And what I suggest you do is, because this machine doesn't seem to put thread on the bobbin evenly, I'm just going to use a pair of scissors just to help guide that thread up and down. And make sure that that thread is on there evenly. Once you have the desired amount of thread on your bobbin, push it over to the left, pull it off, and then snip it off like that. Okay, now that we've got the bobbin ready to go, Just going to remove the black thread and we're going to thread up the top part of the machine. So I'm just going to put my pink thread in just so you can see the difference between my top thread and my bottom thread. So I'm going to put my spool of thread onto that pin on the back there, and like we did with the bobbin, we're going to put the thread under that little notch there and around the first thread guide like that. Okay, the next thing we need to do is bring the thread down here, and this will actually be the tension discs through there, so you need to make sure the thread is going in between there and up and onto the left hand side here. Now the next thing you'll need is the take up lever. Now at the moment you can't see my take up lever, so I'm going to turn my hand wheel here towards me. You only ever turn the hand wheel towards yourself. So I'm going to turn that, and as I turn it you can see that my take up lever is coming up. So here it is, it's in the highest position. And then you need to pass the thread through that hole at the top of the take up lever there, from the right through to the left. If we can get it, there we go. Okay, make sure that thread doesn't come out from the guide down the bottom there while I've done that. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is bring the thread down here, and I'm just going to move my camera so you can see the bottom really well for the next part. Okay, so the next thread guide is at the top of the needle bar right here. So I'll just lower that needle bar down so you can see it. So there's a little hole there. We need to pass the thread through from the top down to the bottom. Okay, and the last bit is if we bring the needle up to the highest position, so turning the hand wheel. Okay, and we need to thread the needle from the front to the back. Okay, so this is always the fun bit. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this, so you can eyeball it and just do it by hand. An easy way to thread the needle is with this little needle threader that you get in your little pack. So if you put the needle threader from the back to the front, it's still actually pretty awkward, and you put the thread through that little hole and pull the threader back out. That's one way to thread the needle. So the top part of my sewing machine is threaded now, and I'm just going to leave that thread tail off to the side there for now. So we're going to put the bobbin in next. I'm going to remove this bobbin cover, and I've got the bobbin that I put thread on before. Now to load the bobbin you need to make sure that your bobbin is making looks like the letter P. So you've got your round part and the thread is coming off to the left here. Okay, so just remember the letter P for your bobbin. So we're just going to drop the bobbin in carefully. Okay, just let the thread hang out there. Next, I'm going to use the hand wheel, and I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me, and while I'm doing that I'm going to hold this thread tail out to the side. So I'm turning the hand wheel towards myself, it's making the needle go down, and you will see that pink thread, so the top thread, go over the bobbin, and it's picking up that bobbin thread. Once the needle has come back up, what you can do is pull that thread. Oops, I'm just going to move my arm. Pull the thread, and you can see that black thread there, and you can either pull it with your fingers or grab a pair of scissors and pull it out. Okay, so now I have the bobbin thread and the top thread together. I'm going to put them under the presser foot and put them towards the back of the sewing machine like that, and then I can replace the bobbin cover, and then the sewing machine is ready to sew. A couple of other features before we get started. This machine does have a built-in light. Just press that in there, you can see that light up. We have our tension here. I'm going to leave it on a 4 for now, and you have your stitch selection here, as well as your reverse stitch. Okay, so all you do to change the stitch selection is you would turn the knob, and I'm just going to leave it on number 1, which is a standard straight stitch. Okay, so to get started, you need to put your fabric under the presser foot, and I'm just going to turn it around. You have a lever on the back here, which will lower your presser foot and then lift it up again. So before you sew, you'd always lower your presser foot down. Okay, let's turn that back around. Okay, let's see this little baby sew. I'm going to put my fabric under the presser foot, lower the presser foot down with the lever here, and off I go. It's nice and smooth. Now use the reverse stitch here, push it down, and it will go backwards, and that'll secure your stitches and stop them from becoming unravelled. So it's not a fast machine, but it's okay. So I'm just going to pivot, so I'm just going to put that needle in the down position, lift my presser foot up, and turn my fabric. Curve. Might change it to a zigzag, so let's go for 12. And let's change it one more time. How about we go for 9. And let's go one more for good luck. It's probably better not to change the stitch when your needle is down, but let's see how it goes. Okay, I'm just going to secure that stitch. Alright, so my needle is up. If it's not up when you stop and you want to take the fabric out, just use your hand wheel to get it into that position. Okay, lift your presser foot up, and then you can pull the fabric out. You do have a little thread cutter on the side there. Okay, and there you have it. The machine actually does sew quite smoothly. Now I can see that there's a bit of pink on this underside here, so I'd need to play around with the tension a little bit, but overall it does sew pretty well. Now I did mention at the beginning of the video that I'd show you how to operate the machine with batteries, so I'm just going to turn that light off and I'm going to disconnect from the power. So if I turn my machine up, you can see that there's a compartment for AA batteries, and you need 4 AA batteries to operate this machine, which makes it a very good portable machine without having a access to power. So there's the batteries loaded in there. And here it is a bit slower, but it still actually works pretty well. There you have it, a great little portable mini sewing machine. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If there's anything else you want to know about this machine, then drop a comment down below. Hit the like button if you found it useful, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!